But I thought it was important to start off by saying thank you for everyone participating in this hackathon. One of the best ways to combat a global pandemic is by working together, sharing knowledge, and finding ways we can help one another. Each one of you could have been at home binge watching Netflix, but instead, you've dedicated your days to finding a way to make a real impact on COVID by applying tech to the vast array of problems we're all facing around the world. This is something you should feel really proud about, and we at Amazon are humbled to be a part of your efforts. My name is Mackenzie Kosten. I'm the Global Startup Advocate here at Amazon. I come from over 20 years of working in information technology. I left the enterprise world of Viacom back in 2011 to join Tumblr as an early engineer. After Tumblr sold to Yahoo for $1.1 billion, I joined Oscar Health as a founding engineer. Oscar is a startup fixing a broken health insurance system here in the US, currently valued north of $3.2 billion. At Oscar, I ran many of the engineering teams, including infrastructure, database, security, and IT. After scaling Oscar from 10 to over 1,000 employees, I left and ran technical operations at Betterment, where I managed many teams to help build the world's largest independent robo-advisor. I'm sharing my background because I'm just one of the many members of the startup team here at Amazon with extensive startup experience who's interested in sharing my knowledge to help you. In the past 2 months, I've truly been inspired by the endless amount of innovation AWS customers and partners have been delivering to support those on the front lines of the COVID-19 response, as well as those staying home to stop the spread. I thought the best way to utilize these 30 minutes was to kick off on a positive note about what's working today, share some of the resources we've built and provided from Amazon, talk about how we can help you, and share the best way to get started. Around the globe, public health organizations, universities, governments, and companies of every size are using the cloud to predict and monitor the effects of the pandemic. They're using it to measure the effectiveness of preventive actions and develop novel tests and treatments. A good example of this is the World Health Organization, who's accelerating their efforts to track the virus, understand its outbreak, and better contain its spread. AWS is supplying the World Health Organization with cloud tech and technical expertise to support this acceleration. This includes building vast data lakes to aggregate epidemiological country data, as well as rapidly translating medical training videos into different languages. On the research front, we're also trying to make a big difference. We launched the AWS Diagnostic Development Initiative. This is a program to support customers working to bring better, more accurate diagnostic solutions to market faster, and to promote collaboration across organizations that are working on similar problems. As part of this, we're committing an initial investment of $20 million to accelerate diagnostic research, innovation, and development to speed our collective understanding and detection of COVID-19. Recent beneficiaries include radiologists and physicians at UC San Diego Health, who are working to quickly detect pneumonia and better distinguish COVID-19 patients who need supportive care in the hospital from those who can be followed closely at home. This is what the research looks like. I think it's true, a picture tells 1,000 words. The researchers are using AI built on top of AWS in a study to speed the detection of pneumonia, which of course is a condition associated with severe COVID-19 cases. The image above shows chest x-rays from patients with COVID-19 pneumonia. The original one's on the left, and the AI for pneumonia result is on the right. This particular patient has a pacemaker device and an enlarged heart, but the AI algorithm still detected the condition, indicating the algorithm is powerful enough to identify pneumonia, even when the patient has underlying health issues. If you shift your focus to education, of course, school districts temporarily closed their doors due to COVID-19, and parents, teachers, and administrators are quickly turning to online education to help students continue their studies. This means those services had to rapidly scale to meet the increased demand, in many cases dealing with 10 times the increase in traffic. And they're doing this using AWS. So for example, Blackboard in the United States is delivering educational communications and learning management tools, as well as training and tutorials to help schools rapidly adapt to the new world of online teaching and virtual classrooms. Samos Educação, which is an educational group in Brazil, is now supporting 1.3 million students with online classes through the use of its Plural Education platform, also built on AWS. And in India, Career Launcher is working with the government in Delhi to help train teachers on virtual teaching techniques and technologies. They have a pilot program of the company's aspirational AI portal that went live just a few weeks ago, and it's rolling out to 1,200 schools and 190,000 students in Delhi over the next month. Even across the Middle East, Aleph Education is using AWS to provide its digital learning products to all students in the United Arab Emirates. Their learning platform, Aleph platform, saves teachers prep time by building these lessons and culturally appropriate media into its systems for core subjects like English, math, and science. So as students use this platform, it starts gathering millions of data points in real time to help teachers tune into live student feedback. This platform takes into account how much time students spend on a lesson, how they've answered, and how that correlates to previous lessons. This is where the AI helps understand each student's weakness and makes it possible for the teacher to be able to help him or her progress and improve. Lastly, one of the main impacts of the pandemic is really the stress on the elderly and other medically vulnerable populations who may not have reliable access to routine care, prescription refills, or even groceries. Our customers have stepped up to help with this challenge by adapting the services to support at-risk populations. So for example, the online neighborhood hub next door saw its global number of daily active users grow by 80% in March as neighbors offered support to those in need in their local communities. Nextdoor quickly added new product features, such as their help map. It's an interactive map where neighbors can mark themselves as someone who can offer support, and Nextdoor groups, which allows members to organize around specific need or interests, such as grocery runs. And this is happening all over the world. Another one of our customers, Juniper Homes in Australia, who they're a provider of aged care facilities, retirement villages, and in-home services. They rolled out AWS-powered video meetings, chat, and calls, and this gave their residents a way to maintain personal connections while remaining safe from exposure. It also allowed their medical staff to virtually check in on residents and patients. I'm sharing these stories uh, with you because what you are working on really does matter and it's making a difference. So whether you're helping 5 people or 50,000 people, your projects are contributing to keeping families connected, allowing children to be taught, and finding ways to get people the services and goods they need in a safe and timely fashion. This is a good opportunity to say thank you again and to keep at it. As I mentioned earlier, sharing of knowledge information is essential to increasing the speed of fighting the pandemic. And at AWS, we have multiple data-driven initiatives that may benefit you or those you know working in this space. The AWS Data Exchange makes it easy to find and subscribe to third-party data that's provided into the cloud. Now, this is a massive collection of data sets that are associated with COVID-19. It includes things from, for example, Reuters, who curate more than 2.2 million unique news stories per year in multiple languages, or Change Healthcare, who process and analyze more than 14 billion healthcare transactions across $1 trillion in claims annually, or Dun& and Bradstreet, who maintain a database of more than 330 million global business records, and Foursquare, who provides location data derived from 220 million unique customers and includes 60 million global commercial venues. So a big cost associated with working with data at the scale is the price to store it. And with these data sets, AWS is covering the cost. So you can search, analyze, and extract this data without paying a dime towards storage. You can use Foursquare data to understand how restaurants and hotels and other businesses are being impacted week by week, or use Reuters to analyze what the media is saying around the world about the impact without having to read each article. These data sets are invaluable for researching and understanding how to find the right product market fit for your company. As the world starts to grapple with COVID-19, researchers and scientists are united in an effort to understand the disease, and they want to find ways to detect and treat infections as quickly as possible. Last week, we launched the COVID-19 Search. It's a new search website powered by machine learning that can help researchers quickly and easily search tens of thousands of research papers and documents using natural language questions. This tool helps researchers navigate this fast growing body of coronavirus literature to efficiently find relevant and up to date information. Core19 Search provides a simple search interface where researchers can ask questions using natural language, such as when is a salivary viral load highest for COVID-19? And this tool will help provide concise answers with well-sourced documents. This tool is actually using AWS's machine learning services to power the comprehensive and actionable results. The original data set is enriched with a service we have offered to everybody, which is called Amazon Comprehend Medical. This is a natural language processing service that uses machine learning to extract relevant medical information from unstructured text, including disease, treatment, and timeline. The data is then mapped to clinical models and medical topics associated with COVID-19. It's using a multi-label classification model and inference. Um, so then this information is then indexed in Amazon Kendra, which is our highly accurate enterprise search service powered by machine learning. So it's delivering robust natural language query capabilities that are easier to make it easier to find and rank articles. These two services, Amazon Comprehend Medical and Amazon Kendra, are available to everyone, regardless of the size of your company. And as complicated as this may sound to build, this chart really shows how simple it is to apply just a couple AWS services to build something that is helping to empower researchers everywhere. That's really one of the many advantages of AWS. You, as a one or two person startup, have access to the same technology as the largest Fortune 500 companies. No problem that you're tackling today is too big thanks to these capabilities. We have a dedicated healthcare life science startup team at Amazon who's also working to get relevant, production ready, clinically adopted solutions from startups into the hands of healthcare providers around the world. And providers are looking for solutions across the spectrum of the healthcare system, including at home testing, triaging, chatbots, care coordination, and more. And so this team has been curating lists of startups, building solutions in these spaces so it's easier for those looking for a solution to find them. And you can find the link here listed the GitHub IO link on the left hand side. And there's ways to promote your startup there if you want to get awareness of your program so others can find it. The reality is, though, that a lot of enterprises, regardless of their size, look to startups for help. Whether it's to invest in them, acquire them, or sign contracts for long-term services in these upcoming companies, we've been working on ways to scale out these efforts, to make it easier for startups and enterprises to connect. One of the programs we've had in place to tackle this is our AWS Connections Program. So there are large enterprises facing a myriad of new challenges now as a result of COVID. They're dealing with challenges in remote working, productivity, logistics, supply and demand, human resourcing, you name it. And startups have the innovation and capability to quickly build working prototypes in these spaces that evolve into profitable established businesses. AWS Connections Program has been operating for multiple years, and the approach is simple. We work with enterprise companies, and keep in mind there are over 1 million active accounts on AWS today. And then we document their biggest needs with some of the biggest names in travel, hospitality, healthcare, education, and more. Our startup team then scouts out across our enormous list of startups using Amazon and find opportunities where both parties can agree there may be a match. We facilitate an introduction to see if it's the right fit, and then let the opportunity grow from there. In 2019 alone, we facilitated over 1,000 meaningful meetings between enterprises and startups. Of course, one of the first questions they ask is whether a small startup can handle the enterprise size traffic and problem they're dealing with. Enterprises want to be sure the startups they depend on can scale to the demand. So one of the key requirements, of course, is that you're building on AWS today. The truth is, AWS gives your startup the best chance of succeeding and the best opportunity to scale reliably to get the service into the hands of those who need it. It's easy to think of AWS as just a cloud provider, but it really is truly much more than that. Not only do we have dedicated startup experts who are all former venture capitalists, founders, and startup experts here to help your business, but we provide the broadest and deepest technical capability of any cloud. Your focus as an early stage startup should be building a product and finding ways to delight your customers, and ultimately to help those in need. The less time you spend spinning up servers and managing services, the more time and money you can invest in building a better product. It used to be that the company with the greatest tech had the greatest advantage. But today, companies are no longer competing on tech because the cloud has leveled the playing field. Everyone has access to the same services and capabilities thanks to AWS. Now, this may be bad news for the large enterprises, but this is great news to upcoming startups like you. AWS provides all the essential building blocks to rapidly deploy your product so it can securely handle the scale you'll face. No matter how you prefer to run your compute, which databases you prefer, what type of media you're trying to store or stream, our offering have all the tools that you need to get up and going quickly. Of course, one area where businesses are competing today is on data. So with AWS, you have access to a wide range of machine learning tools, higher level AI services, let your application speak, listen, and see, or a wide range of analytics services for doing real-time data streaming, search systems, dashboards for insights, and data transformation. Most importantly, your startup is likely going to have to be helpful to those not just where you're located, but around the world. And when it comes time, you want to be sure your users can quickly and reliably access your service. Today, we're operating over 23 regions with 4 more planned. This is in addition to 102 edge locations in 50 cities across 23 countries to ensure your service will respond quickly, regardless of where in the world your users are located. To put this into perspective, our regions are comprised of one or more availability zone, or AZ. So if there happens to be a disruption in one of these AZs, The secondary one can ensure your application stays running. We have twice as many regions with multiple AZs as the next largest provider. And size, scale, and reliability really do matter. It's one of the main, it's one of the many reasons actually why enterprises and startups prefer to build in AWS. Let's look at a couple of the interesting services you can start adopting today to take your product to that next stage. Today, the world is full of unstructured data. I was looking at some reports earlier today that predict that by 2025, the amount of data out there is going to exceed 163 zettabytes. I realize it's very difficult to visualize how much 163 zettabytes is. It's more than I have on my laptop, but let alone a single zettabyte. So to put that into perspective, here's what 1 trillion pennies looks like compared to a human and a football field. If each one of those pennies was a gigabyte, now imagine 163 times as many pennies. It's astronomically enormous. So how do you analyze that much data? And the answer is machine learning. One of our services, Amazon Comprehend, is again a natural language processing service that uses machine learning to find insights and relationships in text. And you can do this without any machine learning experience. There is a treasure trove of potential sitting in your unstructured data. Things like customer emails, support tickets, product reviews, social media posts, even advertising copy represents insights into customers and what's happening in the COVID cases that can be put to work towards your efforts. The question is, how do you get at it? As it turns out, machine learning is particularly good at accurately identifying specific items of interest inside vast swaths of text. And it can learn the sentiment hidden inside of language, such as identifying negative reviews or positive customer interactions with customer service agents. And it does this at an almost limitless scale. Amazon Comprehend uses machine learning to help you uncover the insights and relationships in this unstructured data. The service identifies the language of the text, extracts key phrases like phrases, places, people, brands, events, and understands how positive or negative the text is. It analyzes this text using tokenization and parts of the speech, and it automatically organizes a collection of text files by topic. So you can use this to analyze interactions in the form of support emails, social media posts, online comments, telephone transcripts, and discover what factors drive the most positive and negative experiences. You can then use these insights to improve your product and service. Many of the tools we're building today are to help people do a variety of tasks remotely. This means that there's going to be an increased inbound flow of requests, right? And so you can use Comprehend to automatically categorize these inbound support documents, such as online feedback forms, support tickets, forum posts, and use this to automatically send that ticket to the appropriate queue or person to handle that task. So it can help with automating all these workflows. It can now understand and comprehends what type of request this is. But more specifically, if you look at unstructured text within medical documents, there's 1.2 billion medical documents created every year, and these are absolutely a mess. So we've built a specific medical version of this service that's trained to be able to identify medication, medical conditions, test results, anatomy, PHI data, and more. And so likewise, you're able to feed in doctor's notes, clinical trial reports, patient health records, and this will automatically extract this data into the right ontological medical layout of this information. And so this is being used by medical organizations everywhere, but if you're working particularly in the patient space, this service might be of help. Of course, a big issue currently is with demands. Supply and demand and predicting needs is another huge challenge, and we're truly seeing every system is being stressed. There are surges in demands making resource planning and allocation difficult. How many customer service agents does a company need on the phone this next week? How many units of particular material does the company need to order for next month? How many delivery drivers will a service need to meet the demand this weekend? These are all supply and demand questions that industries are facing. This is another area where machine learning can be a big help. So based on the same tech used on a retail side at Amazon.com, Forecast uses machine learning to combine time series data with additional variables to build forecasts. So Amazon Forecast requires no machine learning experience. You only need to provide historical data, plus any additional data that you believe may impact your forecast. So for example, let's say the demand for a particular color of shirt may change with the seasons and store location. This complex relationship is hard to determine on its own, but ML is ideally suited to recognize it. Once you provide your data, Amazon Forecast will automatically examine it, identify what is meaningful, and produce a forecasting model capable of making predictions that are up to 50% more accurate than looking at time series data alone. Of course, this is great for product demand forecasting, financial planning, or specifically within the COVID case, resource planning and allocation. An industry where understanding supply and demand is essential is in the energy space. And Puget Sound Energy, based in Washington, here in the United States, is a great example of that. They're currently using this to do forecasting for 1.1 million of their electric customers and 840,000 of their natural gas customers. So this service is being used at scale by large organizations today to do forecasting in very highly impacting supply and demand situations. Another area ML is being increasingly used is to improve customer engagement by kind of powering the personalized content and recommendations and tailoring search results or targeting certain messaging at the right time. Historically, developing this type of capability really was sophisticated and it was beyond the reach of most organizations. It's mostly due to simply the complexity involved. And so this service allows developers with, again, no prior machine learning experience to easily build these sophisticated personalization capabilities into their application. And they're using the tech that's been perfected by years from the Amazon.com retail side. So with this, you can stream in click page views, signups, just activity in general, as well as inventory information, um, and any area you want to make recommendations. And it'll start. You can start doing based on demographic information of your users, and make sure that they're getting recommendations that are relevant to their needs. The last area I want to cover is on remote connectivity. There are a number of services to leverage to help in this area, but I want to touch on one or two cases being used and applied in COVID related efforts today. The first is by the government of Jordan, who wanted to quickly help students across the country reconnect with their teachers and classmates to resume their education. So, through a multifaceted collaboration led by Madhu 3, the Darsak e-learning platform was built in just 1 week to provide remote education to Jordanian students. So since it went live in March 22nd, this site has seen more than 35 million views of classes. This solution was delivered by Maui3.com and AWS, and it provides complete video workflow, including content ingest into our Amazon Simple Storage Service, or S3. It does transcoding using Elemental Media Convert, and it delivers this content out to all the classroom attendees using Amazon CloudFront. So with this workflow, they've been able to drive or be able to focus on delivering compelling learning experiences for students across Jordan without having to worry about the complexity of building and operating a separate video processing infrastructure to support this. And of course, COVID, there's no question that's impacting healthcare systems around the world, and patients are looking to their healthcare providers for information related to the coronavirus. And they want guidance on when to be tested for the virus and instructions on what to do if they have a confirmed positive result. So as a result, healthcare systems across the world have quickly become overburdened with calls and questions related to the coronavirus. The challenge for the hospitals and health systems is getting accurate, trusted information to individuals in the community and directing them to the appropriate education and or care and being able to do this at scale. So, for example, patients that have not had any known exposure or symptoms might be directed towards general prevention information so they can learn how to reduce exposure risk. While a patient with known exposure to COVID with respiratory systems is recommended to be further screened by a clinician. To help address the spike in call volume placed in hospitals and nurse hotlines, many healthcare organizations throughout the world have started to build tools or technologies such as triage chatbots to help scale the education engagement with the general population who may have symptoms. These bots are designed to collect information from patients and help route them to the most appropriate level of care based on the answers. This link has a write up about how you can quickly deploy your own chatbot within a few clicks. We provided all the basic logic, the care paths. You can take this and customize it to your needs. There's a chatbot using our Amazon Lex service, which is the same technology that our Amazon Alexa is built on, and Amazon Connect, which allows anyone to easily build omni-channel support offerings with chat and voice-based solutions. Some of the most vulnerable populations are the elderly, who prefer to use a phone over a computer. So Amazon Connect with Amazon Lex lets you build advanced, up-to-date ways to interact with this population, and they can do it all through a standard telephone call. The question now is where to start. As I go into some of the services, but where do you go from here today? How do you get started, and what's the best next step? The first thing you need to do is if you plan to take this to where you've built bigger, is you need to get your application onto something that can handle users and support live production workloads at scale. Your laptop is great for prototyping, but it won't be up to the challenge when your user base starts to rapidly grow. AWS makes it easy to scale this infrastructure as your users grow. There's no upfront cost, and it has the ability to scale up and scale down on demand to help keep your costs low in the long run. Most importantly, by building in AWS, you're going to have access to the broadest and most advanced set of technical capabilities. So whether you're trying to drive insights from petabytes of data, process real-time events at scale with Kinesis, build, train, and deploy machine learning models with our end-to-end environment, which is SageMaker, or simply use one of our many preview models and tools to help predict, personalize, and comprehend your users and their data. We have all the tools and services you need, and you're going to be building with the same tech as the largest companies in the world. It's actually why more startups build on AWS than anywhere else. This includes 23andMe doing 125 DNA reports, Convoy transforming the $800 billion trucking industry, or Coinbase building the world's largest Bitcoin exchange, handling over $150 billion in transactions. The best way to get started if you're new to AWS is a Getting Started guide. You can easily find this online. There's also the link here. These are short 10 to 20-minute tutorials that will walk you through a wide range of topics. These include things like deploying a WordPress, setting up a Python app on AWS, introduction to deep learning, how to do sentiment analysis and text, how to build modern containerized applications, and more. So this is an invaluable resource. There's also access to events, technical talks, user groups, and more. And so it's a great resource to get up and going quickly. The big question though is, it's free to run it on your laptop. So why would you want to be spending money now to be deploying these services? And the real answer is you don't. Our free tier we have is designed to provide an ever-growing list of our services for free. So this is ideal for early stage startups to start prototyping. Your first year should be spent proving market fit, not stressing about how to pay for your infrastructure. This program is designed with entrepreneurs like yourself in mind. Once you start growing, we have a number of programs to help get additional credits. The first of the Founders Package is available to everyone and will grant you $1,000 in credits, gives you developer support and access to a cloud support associate, and plus general architectural guidance. And so there's a link here. All you need is a domain name, an email address to apply, and the instructions are in there, but everyone's eligible. You don't need funding to apply for these credits. Secondly, as your company grows past this stage, there are additional programs available when you do start to secure funding. And this can start unlocking up to $100,000 in additional credits. So I encourage you to open a free account, deploy your app to AWS, and start tapping into the many additional services that help bring real undifferentiated value to your users at a time when they need it the most. Thank you again for spending the time with me today and for your interest in and help against this current pandemic.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mackenzie Cosette, Global Startup Advocate at AWS. I'd like to leave you with a final question. Today, we have about 10,000 developers joining us from 51 countries around the world to help minimize the effect of COVID-19 and this homathon. If you have any final advice for them, what would it be?
It's sometimes very difficult to sit at home and work on something and wonder just how big of an impact it's going to have. I think there's so many opportunities for what's being built today to be applied, and don't let that ruin your motivation. I guarantee there are millions of people out there waiting to get access to these projects and tools and utilities and services that everyone's building today. And even if you don't win necessarily this particular contest, I want to reinforce the fact that what you're building matters. People need it, and ultimately, you should feel really proud about the efforts you put in with this. Also, I want to extend my help. I mean, my email address is there. My Twitter name is there on the left. Reach out to me if there's anything I can help with on the AWS side. We have a tremendous amount of resources. Our goal is to see as many companies and initiatives succeed. I'm personally not driven by sales. I'm driven by how many companies can I help. And truly, there's no better cause to be supporting than this one today. So thank you.
This is very thoughtful of you to extend your personal information for our contestant to join you for further information. We would like to thank you again for your valuable time today with us. إلى هذه
To make
اللحظة.
one last comment, that I realized my profile picture is Bob Barker from The Price is Right, and that was left over from a Zoom happy hour with friends. So if you're wondering why there's a picture of old gentleman there, that's not me, but left over from a Zoom happy hour.
we put a picture for you on our post on our Twitter account as well, so people will know how to find you.
Thank you very much for allowing me to.
I lost your sound, Mr. Mackenzie. يبدو أن هناك مشاكل في الاتصال. شكرا جزيلا لكل من انضموا لبث لنا هذا اليوم السابع من فعالية هوماثون، ونحن نقترب من المنعطف الأخير في سباق أكثر من 10,000 مطور عربي يتنافسون للحد من تأثير فيروس كورونا في 8 مسارات مختلفة وحساسة في حياتنا اليومية. كل المحتوى الذي شاهدتوه باللغة الإنجليزية سوف يتم ترجمته ورفعه لكم بإذن الله باللغة العربية على منصات الاتحاد السعودي للأمن السيبراني والبرمجة والدرونز. لا أنسى أن أشكر شركائنا في الهيئة السعودية للبيانات والذكاء الاصطناعي والشريك والممكن الرقمي STC والشركاء في مايكروسوفت، أوراكل وستارت اب جرايند. إلى أن نلقاكم غدا بإذن الله في بث جديد. دمتم بحفظ الله. السلام عليكم.